Hello, welcome to the beautiful Boys State Esports Arena here tonight, where we are starting off with Week 6 of our NACE Star League Overwatch Premier League, where the Broncos are currently undefeated going into this week and are looking to keep that same mentality and undefeated schedule going. Tonight, the stakes are high as we are facing Mizzou Overwatch, who is sort of still a pretty prominent player in our Overwatch leagues today and definitely strong, and if you take them lackingly, you'll be caught up with them. And as always, I'm your host, Colin Junkin. Well, not always, but I'm here, and we are joined by Artemis Rain. And I got to ask, to keep this undefeated schedule going, who needs to perform, and how do they need to perform to keep the Broncos going?
So I'm going to be entirely honest, and it's going to be calling out one DPS player on stage in particular. Goblin needs to actually be playing to the meta and not go Widowmaker on a brawl map.
Nah.
I'm having flashbacks to seeing our team run a spam comp and the other team running brawl, and Goblin rolls out on Widowmaker and is the first to die. Entire team is like, oh, that Widow's by themselves, and just turns on him and deletes him, sends him to the Shadow Realm, plays Respawn Simulator for the entire map.
Do you think Mizzou's going to take full advantage of that?
Oh,
if that ends up happening? 100%?
They recently picked up a new DPS player who's quite strong, and 100% players that are good at the game understand when someone is, you know, an easy pick'em, so to speak, and a Widowmaker that's by themselves.
Yeah.
Easy to go after.
Is gonna be easy pickings.
Yeah.
So we don't have really like a graphic to go with our maps, but off the bat, I know maps are sort of a repetitive factor in Overwatch because players get really comfortable with them. But is there any map you want to see that would be out of the normal?
Oh, not quite out of the normal, but if we, theoretically speaking, start out on Control, I want to see us go on to Ilios, and the only reason is that there's Roadhog changes.
Oh, yes, there are, yeah.
Yeah.
Which are the cooldown on the hook.
Cooldown for the hook.
Just purely the well?
Yeah,
the well changes?
I just want to see the well changes, and this is how NACE Star League Overwatch 2 works out for us today.
And of course, as mentioned, best of 5, all active maps. That means all of them are on the table for us. 5v5, as you know, in Overwatch 2, and the map order is Control, Hybrid, Escort, Push, and then CNP.
Control not played.
Control not played. And if I would like to see Push, but do you think it's going to go beyond that?
No, hopefully.
Hopefully?
I just got to say no, hopefully, because I know we just came off of a really long weekend. It's Tuesday. Yeah. Many of us, gamers, production staff, casters, all included, are exhausted. And when you're exhausted, you make stupid decisions. This is why you shouldn't play when you're tired. You shouldn't play when you're hungry. You shouldn't play when you're angry. You make bad choices. And with that in mind, it could take a quick slap on the back of the head from one of their teammates if they start doing dumb stuff because they are tired, to get them situated and their things figured out for us to not end up on a push map. But if it does go to a push map, choice words may be exchanged on stage that we won't hear.
Or perhaps from the one and only Coach Doc Haskell has to give a quick reminder of whose team you're on and whose honor you're really fighting for there.
Yes.
But of course, to keep Doc's honor, we have Doc Sees the Game, which in Overwatch are position your supports, tank, DPS, move together, and know the new cooldowns and the new tempo always wins maps. Doc Sees the Game are brought to us by Dropping Gaming. Dropping Gaming is a premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes free to paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you're new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Dropping Gaming is the right games and competition for you to begin your competitive journey. For gaming, sign up at droppinggaming.com. Getting right into it. Honestly, I had a follow-up. Question, and it's completely gone and completely blanked. But beyond that, moving on, we do have confirmation we're going to Lijiang Tower for the first map, which we talked about. We talked about maps being repetitive. This is one of those maps that is repetitive. I'm not even that well versed in Overwatch, honestly, but even I know that Lijiang's a staple when it comes to Control for the first point. But then I have to move to the expert then of Overwatch and Overwatch 2. What are the comps and who are you expecting to see for us rolling out here? And are you expecting us to change up anything really, or is it going to be a battering ram, or is we going to try and play a little bit hybrid?
You get two options. It depends on the map, truly. You can go Brawl, or you can go spam compositions, or, well, sorry, there is a third. It kind of is a spammy comp, but it's a get-in, get-out style comp. You'll hear me refer to as Ring Around the Rosie, and that's one that's centered around a Tracer and Wall composition. Or you have a Sigma composition, or you're going to have more of a Brawly style composition, and you can roll out on a Reinhardt. It does look like one squad's going to be rolling out on the Brawl with May, Cassie, Lucio, Reinhardt, and most likely Kiko as the second support. Could be a Moira if that is not the BSU squad. If it is the BSU squad, then likely to be a Kiko. That is a wall-and-mall style composition. Really relies on one of the Doc's keys of tempo, but also understanding your team's cooldowns. Sideways that's creeping. That's actually Baptiste. So that could theoretically be the Broncos. Not positive on it, though.
And part of Doc's keys that you mentioned is learn the new cooldowns. And I know this patch just recently dropped, and it's pretty imperative for these players to get that new cooldowns part down. Do you think there's any characters that are significantly going to change how this map is going?
Not entirely. I do see we have a Baptiste with the Immortality field did have a slight buff to it. Sojourn takes damage a little bit easier now. Not much of a big issue. This composition that the Broncos rolled out on is one that's been basically standard since beta. This one somewhat got buffed, but really it's been a hardcore staple. It's all about getting the right target focus and understanding how the enemy team comp works. They already picked off Cassie. May is already forced out of Cryo. She already burned Wall as well. There it is again. And now it's time for them to engage. They've taken out Clairvoyant. They take out King. Tommy goes down. Cabby goes down. And that is Mizzou forced back to spawn.
First point. Slowly climbing up. Getting to that percentage point. And kind of relaxing on point here, probably. Initiative. Looking for an opening pick. That Ryan Shield.
The Ryan Shield does save you, but the thing that happens with the Ryan Shield is that for Sojourn, it still charges the rail shot.
So if you got side of it doesn't matter, especially with a player like Austin.
Bagels, and clear drop of Death Blossom into the amplification matrix from the side of Mizzou. Everyone's sent back to spawn, and that is another fight one for the Broncos, but they dropped 3 ultimates. Pretty standard. Goblin's gonna have his ult coming up. Matt Merck has that Primal Rage.
You're falling apart.
The only thing they're going up against is going to be Earth Shatter from Clairvoyant.
Which, depending on how the team is going to follow up on it, honestly dictates how impactful it can be, but looking for the environmental is going to get it there.
We do lose Matt Merck, and the one thing about the Shatter is that Suzu can cleanse it. You just have to make sure you have it ready. We are going to be popping Overclock from Goblin as Bagel is just redditing on point to live. Goblin goes down, Chosen goes down, Matt has gone to fall, went back to Winston because there's no stall ability. That's a reset. Probably spent too many ults in a situation that wasn't needed. Clear could have hung on to that Death Blossom, but it's fine. We're in 1-fight territory. If the Broncos flip this back in their favor, they can be ready for the Shatter and the Pizza.
So sitting at 74. Ooh, their Shatter a little bit blocked though. They were getting Shatter there at that moment, and they easily just pushed really off point, and Death Blossom gets committed, but a headshot's going to shut it all down.
In this next fight, looks like we're going to have Deadeye online for Mizzou, and Close is going to be Chosen and Clear with both of their ultimates, that Death Blossom and Kitsune rush. Bagel trying to cover some damage into his main charge that beat one more time, possibly looking for an environmental on bridge. This is a risky rotation for a brawl comp. They are going to pop the Deadeye just to ensure that they can gain space. And unfortunately, it's not going to land on anyone. Clairvoyant gets dangerously low. They can make Kitsune rush. No Broncos have gone down yet. Clear is going to raise it in the back line in the middle of the Kitsune rush. Gets dangerously low. Sorry, shadows up and then raise back out. Clear almost has that block, and Clairvoyant is now currently down from the side of Mizzou. Here B get dropped, and it's more than likely continues to retreat as we have a response B, another Death Blossom, Primal Rage, all getting expelled. We're at 99% for the Broncos. They just need to play cleanup crew, and that's most likely the end of the story for Mizzou on this first map.
Most likely is most definitely lose the first point. They're going to have to move on. Perhaps gain some traction in the second point of this map that we have. An overall solid. Mizzou not able to get above 20% is pretty impressive, more or less, I'd imagine, for the Broncos. Is there anything that you saw, even though it was such a flawless sort of victory, is there anything that you saw besides the Death Blossom that should have been changed?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe Clear got a little too big for his britches, though.
5, 4,
shadow stepping into the back line and then immediately having to wipe out. Not sure if that was
capture the objective.
Perfect. Charging on to the point. I imagine still BSU in the red. It is. Matt Merck gives with the ball. Enemy here. Mizzou does have a little bit of control, maybe control points. Matt is in the back line. We have Goblin on the Widowmaker looking for a little pick. They're doing the work on Tracer. Gets the pick damages. Ooh. Some Lucio, and there's a pin. Maverick's a little low. Ryan is taking all the shots they possibly can, but not any longer as the health bar drops to 0.
And Goblin did go down to the Tracer. Pulling the aggro from the Tracer as a Widow isn't super bad, considering Tracer typically has to mark the ball for our team. So Tommy Salami spending time on Matt well, Goblin over Matt is beneficial so long as Matt and Clear are able to stick together. Broncos are currently surrounding the side of the Mizzou on coastline. They did lose Iggy, and Suzu's been forced. Matt Merck's at 20 health. Matt goes down. Broncos are still up. Iggy is swapping over to the Cassidy off that Sojourn. Looks like Clear is just keeping Clairvoyant at bay, and Bagel's looking for an opportunity for a boost. Clear says, no, I'll do it myself. Clairvoyant's off the map, and Cabby can't make it out alive.
So even with Matt Merck going down, Mizzou just sort of being almost dissected and pushed to different corners of the map and not able to regroup. Saw the Lucio, saw the Rise go down the corner of the map all alone. Looks State just taking such an advantageous position. Matt Merck is going to commit the mines and get a pick for it. The fight is happening in Spawn. Mizzou can do almost nothing about it. Matt has all the support they need. They're quite the buffer.
Broncos are being forced back, but it looks like Chosen is just going to stay in the back line. They did attempt a TV to point. Two made it in. It's just the May and the Reinhardt. Symmetra goes down. Down goes the Bat. Clairvoyant sends himself off the map again. May uses Cryo on point, staggering himself for an extra roughly 20 seconds now for the team to take another fight. And if Broncos push spawn doors, that is it. There is no touching that point again.
Oh! There's in B. Both sides are committed as well, and the fight is happening here. They do have a touch on the first time. No, but it's not going to live for much longer. Oh, this was just stalling out for him.
It was Cabby. Cabby did manage to find one, but not get the second touch, and that is going to be Lijiang Tower over towards the Broncos.
Yeah, just 12 points for such a devastating performance, honestly, from Boise State. Matt Merck is going to get the play of the game. Yeah, I believe they get a juggle. Yeah, poor little McCree gets juggled, put down a little bit at the bottom. 3 assists, I believe, I saw on the kill feed. Not entirely sure, but that's Control, a best of 5, the first point going over to Boise State. It seems like a pretty dominant performance so far.
Oh, yeah, no argument there.
Yeah, no argument there. And we do see that little bit of hybrid play coming from Matt Merck as well, being able to perform on the Winston and perform on the ball and being equally annoying on each other. And at one point, we were quite literally camping the spawn doors, which I feel like Mizzou has got to be like, take a step back. The moment we're getting camped and can't really walk out of our spawn doors, there's got to be something we have to change. And if that is mental or gameplay strategy, do you have any insight what that might be?
I mean, you could hop swap over to a Bastion Sombra and have your Sombra hack someone, and then Bastion just look at them, delete them, and then swap back over to dive.
Which actually, there was that Sombra change I remember where Sombra can now cancel Orisa's ult, which is big if Sombra comes to the meta, I remember.
She is. She's meta.
Meta? Automatically.
Yeah.
Beforehand or?
Beforehand.
Beforehand?
She does a disgusting amount of damage now because she had a damage buff, I want to say 1 or 2 patches ago. And then if you're a good Sombra, you know that you're not so much looking to just hack and kill someone. You're looking to create chaos. And you don't sit with your team. You go to their spawn door. You are peppering damage onto someone as they're trying to come out, and then you translocate back, and then you're ready to be there for the team fight, and you're able to get EMP about a fight and a half.
And I imagine Boise State is that team that can commit and coordinate with each other to get these vital EMPs and these hacks to essentially take key players out of a team comp out of the way, and potentially no recoverability as well. I imagine for characters that are able to get out like a Ball or a Winston, which I imagine we actually saw in the CECC match. I remember that showing up, and that was very impressive, and I loved that. That was beautiful. Do you think we're going to see that again, or do you think Mizzou won't really pose that big of a threat at Boise State to have to bring out that level of composition?
Unless Mizzou makes a change, the Broncos are not going to swap off their comfort comps.
Yep.
Just how it is.
Which would be more than likely Matt Merck being the Winston, the Ball, seeing a Sojourn. Do you think the Widowmaker's going to come out from Goblin again?
Yeah.
Is that a staple? Should I not ask that question anymore?
Yeah. If Goblin's in, Widowmaker is probably going to get picked. And if you have the most deaths on the side of the Broncos as a Widow and the least amount of kills, and you've died to the same person twice, there's a rule that I have with the players that I coach, and it is I am going to respect blank. And in this instance, I will respect the Tracer. I'm going to stop playing Widowmaker. I'm not getting value.
Yeah, if you're not getting any value on it, I feel like that's almost any FPS game you really see. There's always that one character, that one strategy that is just like this glass cannon And if it doesn't work, you kind of have to respect it, especially in a rather competitive environment as well. Yeah, and we knew it. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't know if you wanted to bring it up, but going into control, or going into escort, it's King's Row. I actually like it.
I mean, Mizzou got to pick. Broncos have only lost this map 5 times.
In 2023 or the entirety?
In like the last 3 years.
Wow. And that's a stat that's like validated. You know that 100%. Wow.
Yeah.
That is actually insane. That's an incredible stat to see. But that actually makes sense because of the few Overwatch games that I've casted personally, it's always just seemed like Boise State is so on top of it in Kings Row as well. And I feel like that's one of the things that really impresses me with Boise State's team composition is it always feels so fluid. It always feels like something can change to not give a centralized location to fight.
Oh, we're in that big event.
I remember seeing a team coming with a Symmetric TP in the bar. I think it was actually you that casted it. And I heard the attention span of the enemies, and I was so, I imagine it's a rather basic strat at a high level that these players play at, but even so, I've always been so impressed with Boise State's ability to do that and be so fluid comps and player roles as well.
Yeah, attention is a huge resource, and though it's not something you see per se on your screen, on your HUD, but you, like, being a tracer that is not in the fight, but is somewhere lurking, is pulling attention because people are looking for it. That gives more opportunities for your team to create chaos. If you put a Sim TP up and don't do anything with it, but the enemy team turns on it, you pulled their attention to your Sim TP, their backs are white, that sort of stuff. And it looks like Goblin is actually going to be on the Pharah, forcing Bagel onto the Mercy, peppering damage down onto the May. Wall is going to be expelled. Immortality has already been burned as well as cleared. Coming in from behind, looking to get some damage on a slow mover who is not in the full rotation. We're going to also commit nade to land on nobody chosen on the high ground.
Rocket's going to get the finishing blow. Matt was moving credit to kill anyway, though. And no changes on the comp on the side of Mizzou as well. I believe everyone's still in the same role and same character. A little bit of time on the point, but it's not going to last long as being contested and being picked apart. Tommy's going to take away with us.
Guardian Angel have made it a little bit more difficult for people that, and I'm not trying to be rude here, but don't spend a large portion of their time playing Mercy, tend to struggle a little bit more now with staying in contact with their Pharahs, and Pharahs need to adjust their playstyle to work around that. With that being said, Bagel's going to come back because having a Wrecking Ball and roll back, grab your Mercy, and have them come with you. I do believe Mizzou, yes, they've made a change, they've gone to the Diva. Cabby almost has they do have Amp, and they're going to have Deadeye. I think they'll move on to a map that just plays keep away and dive out.
I knew the window are committed. Maverick is going to get a pick on Cabby with the mine. Damage here. Ooh, Stick. I think not going to get the value they're looking for. Once again, team already down to pretty much everything. Can't even target Chosen because you're just going to throw another purple nade. And, ooh, if the sleeper landed, it would have been beautiful. And that's Boise State. Win the second fight. And not even Clear is going to have to come back from the respawn point because Bagel's going to get the res off. Boise State working with about 2 ultimates here. Goblin and Bagel. I think you want to see going to this fight. But Cabby also has beat. Ooh, and Goblin with the pick on.
I'm curious to see how Clairvoyant uses self-destruct because just how much speed the side of the Broncos currently has. It's going to be a little rough to pick anybody up unless it's a poorly positioned Pharmacy who is attracting a lot of wait and see. Johnny Salami's going to go down to no tracer currently for Mizzou. Slam in front at Merc. Susan Hughes, that's a great barrage. Diva is able to defend. They will be able to finish their
I think where Goblin's going to pick up 2 anyway on it. Mizzou team has yet to realistically get a touch on the point, honestly, without being majorly contested, more or less a pick by themselves. Imagine the Diva ultimate to be zoned. What that would give you. Actually, watching him come off the match, going to be committed. He's forced back and get a little more damage to the mines. Not going to get too much with it. Lucio nonetheless, but Goblin quickly getting a revenge pick.
30 seconds.
Yep. Oh, they know it. They're very close.
We're going to nano Farah because Mercy's currently down. And also lose clear, so you have to pay another ult to equalize things out. And down goes to Kiko. Their board's still alive. Still has some they can get it. There it is. They got the first spectacular. Their buoyant is headhunting.
Step one.
Last word from Goblin. Over 2 on the shots. Look at the emote as well. Not that much work that Boise has to put in here to win Kings Row, to push into second point. I think it's like a tick and 1/3 maybe is what that counter was. So it's not it's not a lot of work for Boise to put into it. And the change on the diva, I understand what it was going for. I understand it. You sort of want to negate Goblin's advantageous positioning that they're able to take in the air and kind of rain down uncontested DPS on the enemy, but I feel like there wasn't much effect to change the game.
Ready for battle.
I know. To make that even more difficult is the fact that there was someone on high ground as well. Pharmacy, independent unit, tracer ball, independent unit, and then Ana, starts taking some damage, backs off, says I have no LOS for a couple seconds, waits for their own heal to activate because that's a passive for all supports, and then they're good to go.
Yep. And along with the sleep dart as well, I imagine even if you do die because of DPS, you probably see the sleep and then that
5, 4,
and target the enemy team and
2,
you're probably going to go back to
1.
anyway.
Attackers incoming.
Which is
Defend
what I
objective
talked about at the beginning. That it really is that, I sort of talked about the food play style of Boise State. That's sort of what I love to see.
He's gonna got the bar that force out
but they are immediately dropped to 0 HP, and it's not going to take them much longer as nobody from the side of Mizzou can get back in time. And that is Boise State now 2 out of best of 5 here. They're putting a match point, and they're going onto the assault mode.
Play of the game.
Play the game. There's not much words that I can put in that sounded much different than the first half of the game.
If you're wanting justice reigns from above, line, so to speak, that is the Boise State Broncos in their current state. In the years of old, back in 2018, 2019, it was a brawl-heavy team. That is what the Broncos pulled out. That is what they were most comfortable on and very dominant on. And that was also their weakness, because brawl can be picked apart. You can brawl into brawl, and if you do it better, you'll come out on top. But now there is a lot of fluidity. Their hero pools are very deep. Their understanding of the game is much higher than it used to be. We do have basically we do officially now have a completely new roster in comparison to back then. And so with that being said, you cannot say we only have one comp we know really how to run and expect to take maps or checkpoints off of the Broncos, really.
And actually, going off of that, back from old to new here, one of the things I sort of thought about earlier with Boise State's Overwatch team was the change from 6 to 5. Was there an improvement for Boise State going from 6 to 5? Because I'm not that knowledgeable in the past for Boise State. But from my eyes, as sort of an outside perspective, it did seem like an improvement. And I thought it would take Boise State a lot more time to adjust to it, but it felt like they only came out on top of it all.
Well, taking down one player, and you got to keep in mind that though we here have players that, you never really see off of tank, off of DPS, off of support, so to speak, all of them are very well rounded and can play multiple roles at a higher level. And so it was more or less a trimming of the fat, so to speak. And it is a unfortunate situation, but when someone's underperforming and is not willing to, step up to the plate and do what they need to do to improve, well, they're going to have to either be set aside, benched, redshirted, whatever need be done, and then you allow, one of the supports, one of the tanks to pick up the mantle of DPS and let them run that for a map or two or even a game, and it adds more flexibility to the roster. Like, say, Bagel's like, I'm feeling hot on Hanzo, which is true in some instances, and one of our DPS, who's also a high rank on support's like, okay, let me swap over, you take over Hanzo, I'm not feeling it on DPS today. That sort of stuff is beneficial. It does really suck that we don't have dual tank rules going on at the same time as a former tank player myself, but as we just heard, because now that there isn't two tanks, it kind of forces all the tanks to master every single tank. We are going to be swapping out Matt Merck for Kel, our previous off-tank player, who now has picked up the mantle of not only DPS, but main tank as well, because every tank is now a main tank.
And off of that, going off of the main off-tank player,
Initiating match.
I imagine with the substitution to Kel and also change in player comp and position comp as well is also a change as well. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we also have a switch from somebody going from a DPS or a support role or flip-flopped in that way. Or if, from your perspective, Kel going in there, what are the other four characters you're looking to see? Even if you can't get a character on the Kel.
We're getting a spam comp here, so it feels like
Ready for battle.
Bagel or Chosen on Zen. They're both where you got her and the air quotes supports that is Zenyatta. However, Kel, though we have seen him as an absolute menace on Diva in the past, is an extremely gifted Sigma player, and Sigma is very strong on this map, and so that is what creates a spam composition. You call it the Sigma, you can get double sniper, you can get a Cassidy and a Widowmaker, but this is the one instance where I can actually say Goblin can go Widow and get away with it properly. So we'll most likely see a spam composition coming out with the Sigma. Almost guarantee you we're going to have a Zenyatta and the other support most likely.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Two very
one.
damage-heavy
Attackers incoming.
Oh, there's actually a decent outline for Mercy there as well.
We are falling apart.
Yeah, this is Goblin. Widowmaker. Yeah, you pretty much yeah. 99.9% accuracy predicted.
Sniper spotted. Head down.
Mercy team comp. What does the Mercy tell you about team comp?
Not so fast.
Temp. Is that what the Hanzo as well? What kind of Hanzo?
So talking to Hanzo, he provides a lot of shield break opportunities, but you have to take some angles, and unfortunately Hanzo's on the blunt end of an open barrel from Goblin. I believe was not getting damage boosted. They're attempting having a Sigma from the side of the Broncos. They anticipated it and trying to apply more pressure to prevent the Broncos from having a front line. Unfortunately, not taking strong angles and taking off angles because they're all in one spot is the weakness for they've gone for a spam composition, but they're on low ground. That means you need to take smart angles. And we do see Kel goes down because we don't have a whole lot of healing, theoretically speaking, on the front line. If Bagel's going to be up there and Armana has to come around the corner because either one is a one-shot headshot in these situations from a Widowmaker that is damage boosted.
Oh.
Case in point. But that was a Hanzo Widow, both focusing down someone who was caught out. There goes Goblin as well. Bye, Bagel.
A lot of stagger potential.
Oh, yeah. Broncos are fully staggered. Not sure if they can touch point again. Kel not going to ball, still on Sigma. They have to give him his points.
They're going to easily walk the first point security. This stage is going to no sweat it though and continue to hold the high ground. Very advantageous. Goblin does an airborne.
Making progress.
Kel is going to get someone to block in the second. Oh, this is a switch on Clear as well. Clear on to Samba.
Goblin, Bagel, Clear. Pick up 2 between the 3 of them. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Go to the spawn room. You don't need to be by your team this song. You have to get a jail free card.
No vaya a ser que lo necesite.
My barrier is gone.
To be sort of annoying by time.
Yeah.
Actuating the barrier.
Absolutely no time. Luxury up here. Where's that Kelly? A little bit low. Charge skills. Nano is available as well. Sight and Bagel. Get one and try to get the pick on Mercy. He's gonna pay off.
Yikers.
All things are in order.
Switch. Definitely paying off for the side of the Broncos. A lot more chaos and make an opportunity out of it. Clear to wait patiently. Oh, it doesn't even matter though. Goblin's going to end up being picked.
Barrier. Enemy vector.
Enemy here.
An enemy appears.
Clear almost has that EMP. Chosen and Bagel both have their ults. Kel has lift. The only thing that can really counter lift here is if Clear Brand lands a rock on the Kel, but Kel is very used to running a corner after he takes the lift, or does it right now.
A threat emerges.
Again, he allocates up and pick out for Goblin after Goblin shoots up 2. And Clear now has EMP. So you can EMP Acidic Flux, that would work just fine. Or Mentality or Kill the Battle in the air, so the Immort can't avoid. Or burn the Immort as soon as it drops. There's a lot of options here. You don't really have to wait out a lot of abilities from the other side. It's just making sure you don't mess up fields.
Has touched the first point here as well. They're not going to gain any sort of ground whatsoever. Look for a shoot angle here. Melee brawl, the EMP is going to be committed.
Feeling much
Going to find a little bit of value. Clear's going to get one.
Hack the res on that first. And they're anti, they're going to go down. Now Hanzo spamming those storm arrows extremely low. Still knows he has on this Acidic Flux. Curious as to when he's going to commit it.
The barrier cannot withstand much more.
An enemy here.
Maybe your Dragon is going to get popped. Typically you see that comboed with a lift, and there wasn't one because Clairvoyant was still in respawn. Goblin and Children both go down. No idea where their forces are at. The response is going to be lifting the Mercy and the Widow. Neither go down because they have fast
Actuating the barrier.
but they're locked in the Mercy space, so they let them back to spawn. Hell pushed up way too far without one of the supports specifically. Chosen is going to be forced to go back to spawn as well. Now, this is where things get a little bit hairy. We're rounding this corner, but there's still quite literally an uphill battle for the attack line. And the question is, how is the Bronco going to respond as they have no ult except for Goblins?
Payload progress. Enemy vector calculated.
Goblin's ultimate, there is the
An enemy
focus to
appears.
his ultimate. All dead. Have to big ultimate trance, and somehow, not quite sure how. He got rocked, Discord's going to go out on Clairvoyant. The Immort has also been expelled from the side of the field. It's dangerously low. Now Clear is going to come in on the Sombra. Just
Enemy vector calculated.
5 points of damage. Not much, and it could be an entire.
He's going to go a little low here, and the uphill battle is gone. They move around that corner.
The barrier.
Oh, and the EMP's committed. That's 2-3 immediate picks. Make it 4. Everyone's going to get one, but needs picked back right literally in true corner with an escape. And that's going to be a team kill for the South Broncos with 20 seconds left here. Picking up where they fights this, more or less on the Mizzou and their tempo. Clairvoyant is going to switch over the list here. With about 10 seconds left, they're going to have to quickly get into this fight.
The unfortunate thing, though, is Doomfist into a rock from Kel, a hack from Clear, a Discord from Bagel. Never mind! Clear did what I refer to as overstaying as well. We have a Dragon to go straight to cart. Chosen does pick up Clairvoyant, and we have a res onto Clairvoyant as well. It was not heavily guarded because the Dragon was right next to it. Chosen goes down, Bagel goes down, and the Hurricane from Mercy is out as well.
What did feel like sort of Mizzou's end and what was supposed to be, you know, Boise State stopping this first point, turned into Mizzou making a comeback here. I feel like the pick at the beginning and then also the res on the Clairvoyant as well sort of put the final nail in the coffin. They're going to secure the second point. But they don't get too much time off of it. They still only sit at a minute 15 here. And Boise State, unlike certain situations, has the ult advantage here. Problem the fight may not be super impactful. They can just get a double pick out of it. It's going to be able to commit it.
Truthfully, I think what was the Broncos undoing was their egos got a little bit too big. They started underestimating and under-respecting the side of Mizzou, and you know, you can't just do the same thing over again and expect the other team, especially when they are Mizzou, you know, a team that deserves our respect, to not adapt and start fixing what they were doing wrong, recognizing that our Sommer's Clear's been hacking from the exact same spot multiple times, or Clear staggering himself earlier at the corner trying to take a 1v5 when the rest of the team was dead. Stuff like that.
The Goblin might lose your life points as well. Clear's going to be able to put a little bit of distraction on the board. Good Goblin being out of health points there. Around the corner, getting ever so closely. He's carrying the third point.
I want to see an EMP flip. I want to see an EMP flip. We also, earlier, held our ult way too heckin' long.
Yeah. Okay.
Flipped. No EMP. We have EMP now. There's the
There
EMP.
it is.
That was beautifully timed. Brooms are coming out. Street Sweeper is in. Anti on Sigma. Little wave from Kel over to Clairvoyant. And a trance just for good measure from Bagel. That's going to be Mizzou getting much further than the Broncos should have let them, but they deserved it since the Broncos made a lot of mistakes on that last map.
Yeah. And then after sort of the mistake on the second fight, that should ended it out when they got to OT as well. Was it sort of? It felt like the Broncos sort of waiting for Flux and EMP to wait out there. Was it sort of, is that what their strategy they were going for there? I sort of noticed they didn't take any more direct fights. They're sort of.
I believe so. I think they rectified the situation because we had an EMP that was used. It didn't seem like it was communicated. It might have been an accident. After we'd already committed a Flux in the previous fight, they're really like one ult into a composition that is spam v spam. There is not a lot of room for teams to engage onto each other. So you're going to EMP, like, I wish I had a whiteboard here. Here's the hill. Our team's up here. Down here is Mizzou. We EMP down here. Our team does not have any form of speed to close this distance from here to here. And by the time they do, EMP's gone. There is no point to using EMP in that instance, especially if we're not going to combo it with Graphitic Flux. So understanding win conditions is important, not holding on to a Graphitic Flux for multiple fights, and not using an ult just to use it is really what ended up being the undoing for the Broncos there. And if they make those mistakes again, they're going to get held.
Yeah. Which I believe it was Kel and Clairvoyant after that first point that held on to for quite a long time. I think they ended up fighting each other maybe 2 or 3 times, that it wasn't committed. And it got to the point where we pointed it out as well, getting into it. But that means the Broncos sort of have to be pretty confident with their ability to go 74 meters at this point here, being able to give up so much space, so much room to finally combo out the Flux and the.
Yeah, but now we have clear on Genji, the person that I have said, you know, it's thrown in jail and the key's been thrown away by the devs. He's got his time in the light in season 1-ish too. So interested to see how clear works out. We do have Chosen on that Ana still, so opportunity for possibly an fight. As we have Kel engaging on to 3 people. Sojourn goes down after taking a little bit of damage, and the rezzing right in front of a Sigma who has accretion. A little bit of a bad decision there made by Ping. Tommy Solana goes down to Bagel. Bagel is now out for blood. Gives the kick to the face. Suzu's been burned. We have a minor speed advantage because Clear gets Ghost Dash, and that is everyone for the side of Mizzou at spawn.
Time for them to contest a trade of picks. I guess it's what happens when you have a delayed arrow attack like that. Rez is going to be committed though. Goblin's going to have to walk back to the team. We'll make some type of performance here, looking to get some type of ground. Kel's fighting upwards with Bagel. Is going to get the pick again. However, this time around, Rez will not be there to save you. You're getting so much ground, but slowly pushing hard.
And that is an early Suzu forced out once again. Clear is being uncontested around Pillar. Bagel is undeterred, going low on health again. Zenyatta, a support character that does a grotesque amount of damage.
really nasty, especially if you're getting head. Taking a little bit of dog speed out about there. Still just so much ground here gained without even the cart being, well, actually now it's closer than anything, but Mizzou, they've got to find a counterpoint. They're trying to get the opening onto Bagel, but they're not going to be able to. Transcendence is committed.
That's a free flush because it goes down right as Bagel's trance is going to be ending, and unfortunately Bagel taking two advantageous positions, letting confidence get the better of him. Was forced to use it early. Thankfully now we have a return to Critic Flux. Sojourn's going to dash in and probably dash their way back to the spawn room. Goblin goes down to Iggy though. We have Blade, and most likely a lot of the sustainabilities from the side of Mizzou have been expelled, so maybe Fear's going to activate it, dashes in, goes for the Hanzo, whiffs on the first strike, whiffs on the second strike, and possibly gets the kill. Does not get the kill because Tommy Salami found it faster. And this is what I'm talking about. Underestimating the skill of the enemy team. And King didn't even have to use anything other than just standard yellow beam. Got to keep in mind that Mercy has a buff now, so if someone's under 50% health, the healing is higher.
Oh, that's an amazing kind of buff for Mercy. Because I feel most of the time, if Mercy comes in clutch, wins your teammates. It's already that low.
Goblin. This is what I was talking about. If I didn't have to continue to be watching right now, I'd be making a stinky face right now.
Still could. Ah, there it is. There it is. Discipline.
We do see Tommy Salami go down to Clear. Clear did make the stop over to the Sombra. Been putting in quite a bit of work. We'll have to see how it works out in the end, though. I did not mean to make a pun. We're going to hack out the Mercy Res again with the Discord. Mercy might go down. Nope, that Valkyrie healing is too strong.
Even just a second. Wow! There's finally that pick that Goblin's been looking for. Is sticking on the Widow for so long. Added to the highlight reel. Without the Mercy here, might be suffering a little more than what they're expecting to. No, but not super low here. They both have Flux available to them, but can go more and stay alive long enough to really commit it. Oh! Wow!
Gorgeous rock. Hell, I don't think has rock, but the EM. We're gonna get. Everyone's gonna get hacked, and we're gonna have a response with a Kitsune rush. It sounds like Dragon Sasami Salami is also committed. We're still in a territory where there's multiple fights that can take place here before the Broncos have to really make a last-ditch effort, but they've managed to clean up two. Clear goes down to Tommy Salami again, and it's just Cabby left.
Getting the stagger on with 3 minutes and 12 seconds left. They have a lot of time. They have a lot of time to work with here, and really no pressure at the massive team fight where quite literally two gravitic fluxes were committed and both canceled out in different ways, which is always fun to see as a little bit farther, taking an upwards position. They also back to the flank, gets the EMP and gets a lot of value.
Yeah, we're also going to hear Overclock get popped. Clear has to translocate out, has been forced at 5 health. Overclock was coming from Iggy on the side of Mizzou, gets taken down between Bagel and Goblin. Mercy goes for the res, gets discorded, and is going to be punished, but unfortunately there was a quick turn coming out from Mizzou to track down and to eliminate Bagel shortly thereafter. So fair trade, even Mercy got the res. Goblin at 6 health is going to have to retreat and goes down to Clairvoyant.
Take a little bit of damage here. Next fight, Clairvoyant should also have Flux available. They'll already have the Flux though, if they can counter it out fast enough.
I mean, Rock was committed. This could be an opportunity for it to happen now. Suzu's committed as well, but now at this point, if there's 2 dead, considering Mercy's just now getting back to the point, not really a necessary situation to commit Flux. Yeah.
Not to be academic.
Which such a powerful ability as well. I imagine has to be used at a certain level of discretion of using it wisely. Probably not holding on to it to the point where you're scared to use it, but using it to the point where it should be used wisely in situations. Because how long is the cooldown?
I mean, it's for the Flux or for Rock? Oh, for Suzu? I want to say it's 10 or 12 seconds. Yeah.
Just used it. Already at 5.
Uh-oh.
Overwatch? Overwatch did it funny?
Overwatch did indeed do it funny.
Did it funny. I feel like it's the first time I've ever seen that. From the track record it was looking like Boise State, I think, had like 2 minutes left and was getting pretty close to finishing out the fight. So
We got to restart. We got to run it back again.
yeah, I guess that's the only way, unless morality clause that maybe just Mizzou just goes make it 10 meters automatically. I have no idea, honestly. They could reset like Smash. They just like kind of go all the way, restart, let them get to 74 meters, stop, go back, let Boise State get around the corner again, and start the fight from there. I don't know. I'm just pulling things out of nowhere.
I mean, theoretically speaking, yes, that is something that could be done. The question is,
Do we have the time to do that?
do we have the time, the patience, or the IQ on stage to do that?
Yeah.
That stage, not this stage.
There's a lot of IQ on this stage, and there's a lot of patience. There's a lot, I think this stage is particularly better. Honestly, I'm just going to give you this computer, and you use that one, and you just 2v5, perhaps?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, it's a you. You're 2v5. 2v5.
Oh, okay.
You don't want me on your team.
I'd be fine with you on my team.
If you could honestly carry that, and that could happen, I'd be impressed. I'd give you a trophy yourself.
I appreciate that. And here's my advice, since we're taking a quick break to get things figured out up there. A lot of people ask me how I deal with like someone not joining comms in competitive play. Normally it's one person. And in the words of my color guard coach when I was in high school, that person is the booger in the punch bowl. And it's very obvious that they aren't working with the team and they're dying off cooldown, or they're using ults when they shouldn't be, they're doing stuff and it's like completely against what's happening. But that being said, a lot of people are like, because I'm a support, they're like, why are you healing them? Why are you keeping them alive? And I'm like, they're an extra body to take damage.
Yeah.
And it's giving me ult charge, so they're still providing value. I understand it's tilting, but my words of advice are understand that it's at least someone else there to prevent you from dying. That's how you can look at it.
And even so, I imagine if you want the highest likely possibility to win a match overall, I feel like you can't entirely neglect somebody out from it, because then you're forcibly making a 4v5, because if they can't, I imagine if they don't get any healing, they progressively become worse and worse in terms of their inability to participate with the team. And I feel like that's with a lot of teams. You're gonna encounter people who are probably not the most exciting people to play with, especially in a very competitive scenario across any competitive game online format in general. That's going to happen, like point blank period. That's people for you 101. But I feel like in a team composition, you can't entirely ignore one section of it, especially if it's somebody as vital as a tank or a DPS that insta-lock the position that should be doing a lot more than what they are.
Yeah, and like the one that sticks out in my mind, and I'm going to actually call someone out in the ladder, their name's No Mercy. Most toxic tank I've ever had to deal with in my life. We had one DPS who wasn't in comms off doing their own thing, but I'm a support player. I'm still going to support them as much as I can, and straight up told me, do not heal them, just focus me and their duo. And I was like, no, this person, I've never heard someone get so tilted and toxic because I made one simple call out, which is someone is under. And this human being, oh my gosh, I cannot repeat the words on broadcast because that would be a big no-no, because this is a college event. But yeah, gamer words were said. I muted, reported, blocked them. I did receive a thing right back the next day from Blizzard verifying that actions had been taken. I am not apologetic if you received a chat ban, which is a full-blown comp ban now in Overwatch, No Mercy, because you deserved it. It's a game at the end of the day. I too make money from the game, but I don't treat people like they're, undeserving of also playing a game. That's just how it is. It's still a game. People are still going to play it for enjoyment. People are still going to play bad. It's just how Overwatch works. Cope and seethe more.
That's just kind of life, no? I feel like if you're not able to relax a little bit in a video game, nonetheless, you should sort of probably take a second, take a look in the mirror, quite literally, almost. I get being heated. There are definitely moments where something's happened and you want to break your mouse, or your keyboard, perhaps throw the monitor across the room, But taking it out on other people is more or less a big thing. But as we sort of try to figure out the rule book here and see, honestly, I would not be surprised if that isn't in the rule book right there. I imagine it is. It probably has happened before, but I don't know a way to really fix that besides saying, hey, just GG, go again.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, why not run the map again?
Yeah. It wouldn't be a horrible thing. I like my idea. I like the Smash setup,
Yeah, like when you're starting the next round and you're supposed to be at one stock, you just end off the map twice.
Yeah, you just jump off the map.
Yeah.
I meant, and there's no cheats in a custom lobby allowed. No, so you can't automatically set the time to something you'd like unless you probably make a custom game mode or map yourself.
I mean, yeah, you can set the time to a specific timer, but you can't move the payload to a specific spot. So we'd literally have to burn X amount of time and then push the payload and then get it there and stop it and just not move it. And theoretically speaking, Mizzou went first.
Yeah.
So we let them push the car all the way to the 74, 75 meters that it was at and then just burn the rest of the timer. That would be a way to reset it, but then we'd have to do it all over again and burn the clock until the Broncos at point 3 have, I think, 3 minutes, 40 seconds left when we cap the second point. It just, at that point, why not just run it back again?
And I imagine unstopped as well, going point to point to point, you gain time as well. So then every time you get to a point, you have to burn that time as well. I imagine it's an entire feat of it itself. And I imagine the only criticism from you for the side of Boise State would be that we underestimated Mizzou at certain key and critical moments that really, like the game, I imagine in your eyes, probably should have ended before the second point.
Oh, yeah.
Before they made it up that hill. Yeah.
And, there were moments of where players were taking positions that it's just like, what are you doing? Like our Widowmaker frontlining on the hill when we were resetting and, instantly dying. So it's just like, you didn't underestimate, you lost respect for them, and they capitalized on you being stupid. And good on Mizzou for doing that. Do it more, because it's ridiculous to see that type of playing happening. Ain't no way and no reason Goblin should be doing what he did. Simply put, you're not that much of an incillable god on Widowmaker when you're just a Widowmaker facing down 5 people. With that being said, I think we have figured out what's wrong. What was wrong is Overwatch just went through an update. So, surprise, surprise. Small indie company, by the way.
And wasn't it something of also last time a patch went through, it also had to be updated twice as well, just to fix the issues that the patch had caused? Small indie team.
And then there was a patch happening that was supposed to, and I quote, only take a couple of hours. That lasted almost 6 hours. That was cool. So yeah, I think we figured out what we're going to do to counter what just occurred. We'll find out when we jump in. I think we're just going to probably reset the entire map and play it all over again. Is this an opportunity for Mizzou to bring it back? Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
It's also equally as much as an opportunity for Boise State as well to finally close things out.
Yes.
You get a second chance essentially, and I imagine there's not going to be much change in the way that Mizzou plays at all anyway, because we didn't see much changes at all. But in the spirit of hopefully finding this soon, we're going to take a break because we're going to need some water. We're going to stand a little bit, and I believe you guys should too. So we're going to see after these messages, and hopefully we're back into map 3. So after these messages.
Home is where you hang your hat, snuggle up, hide out. Home is when you're with the ones you love. It isn't just a place, it's a state of mind. At Idaho Central Credit Union, our home is Idaho. We grew up here, and we're proud to help more Idahoans with their home loan than any other financial institution. Idaho Central Credit Union. We believe home is where you make it.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Idaho's Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance.
Oh, I dream just to be where you are, in a world I can see where you are, though you are meant to be. Wish you're here next to me, where you
All right, so we are going to jump back into the match on Circuit Royale. We're going to see how things shook out. I did hear some of the players on stage earlier when they died saying, "I got a no-reg," extremely loud. To that I say cope and seethe.
Copium.
No-regs happen. They happen a lot.
Love to see it. They do, yeah. That's just sort of a traditional problem with an online. Okay, so full map restart. So it looks like it did come to a decision at the end of the day. There was talks of different, but this seems to be the most fair that both teams are going to come out to as well. Boise State is in the blue, defending first once again, keeping that same situation. They do have a Junkrat this time, though.
Interesting choice, but Junkrat can sometimes triple mine over the left side of that building. Also, Hanzo's can wall climb it and then use the second wall climb cooldown to make it the rest of the way and glide over that rooftop. But can definitely shake up a back line. Junk did die first, so Iggy is swapping over to the Sojourn, pretty standard pick. And none of the other things have changed, except for Chosen did choose to go over to the Baptiste. I do think that's a smarter decision to make.
Getting a little more DPS and at the same time. Definitely a deadly combo. Delving that critical health and a little bit of attention here. But everyone's not backing off. Realizing they have that safe position and the high ground now. Cart barely being pushed also at the same time. Lions just have to pick hopefully give them an opening. Find a break to get into here. The last time they got here, they were at 74 meters. So getting anything beyond that is probably the name of the game for Mizzou this time around. Suzu's committed, get a little bit of healing going on. Contested at this bridge point here. Goblin going up, looking for the pick. Is going to be able to get it. Puts the mine down, going in for seconds, trying to find it. Not looking for too much of it. However, though, Ping is going to be able to get the pick. There's Rush also committed. Oh, and Iggy getting the revenge pick as well. He's going to put it into Goblin. And there's no res for Goblin this time.
No, and Iggy got both the DPS. Iggy, I don't know what you did. Standing up, shook it off, got a smack from someone, called your mom real fast, called your best friend and said, I need an ego boost, I need some confidence given, because now you are rocking it. Both DPS on the side of Mizzou are going to have ult. Mercy has that Valkyrie, Bagel, Chosen, Clear, and Kel all have ults. Goblin did end up using their infrared sights. Goblin goes down early to Iggy. We need to start respecting and pinging Iggy. They have gone full unlock mode, firing on all cylinders, drank the gamer juice, G Fuel's in their veins now.
There's something going on with Iggy right now. They are finding every opening they possibly can, popping off. Going almost to what it feels like 5 for 5 so far.
What the heck?
It seems like the entire team of Mizzou just unlocked the 5th gate.
And now standard, Iggy is pushing cart. Yeah, and I know it's not super duper exciting. Welcome to being the resident shopper. How may I take your order? This is something I too am used to.
Got the pickup though. No longer.
Dragons just to provide space and time for the Broncos to come in and return Dragon. Also, I wish we had an above shot of both of those meeting each other. It looks so cool. With that being said, I digress. We have Valve also going to be committing. Clairvoyant has Lift. Cabby almost has Kitsune Rush. We're going to see Lift, and it gets denied instantly by Kel. Goblin finds Iggy. Iggy gets insta-res, so definitely side of Mizzou leaning into that Widowmaker, who's been popping off this entire round. Goblin's going to use grapple, doesn't find anything, just gives himself away, whiffs on the first shot, whiffs on the second, and now it's just dance around until you get to a safe spot. Iggy does go down. Clear is going into the back line, looking for that Mercy. Finds Mercy. I'm not sure how that hit. It was probably a ricochet. Finds the Mercy. Cabby goes down to Goblin. Broncos finally waking back up after having to chill out for a few minutes.
A little bit of fight going on. Immortality is committed. Tommy's going to be able to get the elimination on Immortality, but it's not even going to find it. But Iggy, once again, returning the favor, getting the pick on Goblin right now. They've made it pretty far so far. They're definitely making advantageous pushes. There's still 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. Iggy's going to go airborne, looking for one more. Is he going to find nothing but the shield to break? Keeping this pick. Trying to find some bouncing heads. Clear's going to make the challenge as well, looking for something. Oh, wow. I don't even know how that hit. That didn't even look clear on the screen. Clear making the choice to dive. The Mercy looking at a little bit of trouble here. Goblin also trying to get a pick. No ults online for this side of Blue State, besides Dragons are most likely going to come online as well. Zeus Clairvoyance also may have. Yeah, I have no idea. Just decided to forfeit life and reset. Clear popping off, getting a 3K right there.
This is where I get a little concerned because Overwatch, regardless of it being number 1 or number 2, high ground is extremely important, and our Hanzo is hiding. But there he is. I heard something along the lines of, I'm still emoting, it's not letting me get out of emote. That's the game, the gods of the game is punishing you for doing what you did.
Just a tad bit. Ooh. Probably trying to look for the pick. Doesn't find anything, and there is Iggy. Wow. It feels like they are having such a dominant performance on this side of DPS. Bagel's going to return the favor before Iggy gets one more, and the kicks are going through. Transcendence is committed, keeping Kel alive and back at the full HP, also keeping Bagel alive. They're going to back off quickly here. Kel going low there, doesn't have the support of any other. Dragons are committed, attempting to get a last second contest. They do. Under a minute here left on the side of Mizzou. Tommy and Iggy are going to just put on a show for all of us. And Iggy, I don't know, check their computer right now because they're finding nothing but heads to click. My God.
I doubt Iggy ever left the lobby, so I'm sure we're fine, but oh my, McNuggets, Iggy found Goblin immediately. 2-minute territory, similar to where we were actually when Mizzou was attacking. So even with Iggy popping off, things are still similar to what we saw earlier. Now it's just a matter of smart positioning, taking smart angles and smart engagements, looking for specific cooldowns and knowing what and when to use where, and the Broncos relying on identifying those situations. As we use lift, avoids the accretion. Suzu was used though. If there's anything else to follow up with, the Broncos need to use it now. They are going to use Kitsune Rush. That's an opportunity to just back off and wait it out, but that does give up an entire lane of space. We have Dragons to counteract the amplification matrix. It does find Bagel. Chosen goes down to Tommy Salami, who also had the help of the Kiko and the Mercy in that situation. Goblin found Iggy. Tommy Salami is trying to headhunt for clear. Gets clear. Now it is just going to be Kel left standing. Kel might get staggered very hard here. What? Okay. I wish I had a rewind button. What in the heck was that?
These DPS have found all the gamer juice they could possibly consume. A little bit of lag there, showing the shadows. They are closing in meter by meter. Woodstate's going to take a contest. Bagel will get the touch. Switching over to Lucio. Kel's also going to make the choice over to Winston. Goblin still sticking on this Widowmaker. Has the ultimate there, but is going to go down. Clairvoyant still at a rather large health bar as Kel's pretty low, so sticking on this point. They're mere meters away from closing it all out. The switch from clear onto the Sombra is going to find the hack. Kel managing to stay alive here ever since the hack, trying to find value. Goblin also still looking for a pick. Isn't able to get anything. Isn't able to find one on Clairvoyance, but Tommy's going to get the trade onto Bagel, and there's Goblin and Chosen waking up.
11 seconds left, and there's 2 getting staggered currently for the side of Mizzou. It's going to be Mercy first to go down. Kikiko, I believe, can swift step out. We have the Doomfist swap, which worked the last possible second on point 1 when we first ran the map, but it's going to be too little too late. Clairvoyant can't make it, gets hacked out by Clear. The EMP was also popped just for extra good measure, and Kel even had Primal Rage. With that, Mizzou roughly made it to the exact same spot, and we run it back again.
Yeah, 88. They did
further.
Little mate, I think I'll round them and give them the 74. You know, that's a whole 14 meters more. They were teetering on the edge. If it wasn't, Boise State made some critical key changes in terms of the composition of Kel making the switch over to Winston, as long as Goblin finding a pick as well. And then I also see, I think it was Clear, they made a switch on the Sombra, then ended up getting the pick on Clairvoyance as well. That really kind of deterred them and made them take a step back and ended up getting the health bar deleted anyway. So they made it a lot farther than what they did last time in terms of it. And honestly, they were looking really scary for a second. If they had any more amount of time, if they had like one more fight, honestly, I'd be really worried about Iggy and I believe it's Tommy, the Hanzo, finding any more value than what they did.
Iggy, and of course, when I say things that sound negative, it is always a compliment. You are horrifying. Holy McNuggets. That was terrifying. Great to watch. Great, I love seeing the turnaround. Drastically different than what we saw from the beginning of Circuit Royale to what we saw there in our run it back. But holy cow. That was horrifying to watch from the perspective of someone who wants to see the Broncos win. I'm all here for it, though. Keep doing it. Keep being a menace.
We'll love to see if they can keep it out. Was it simply just the returning placebo? Will Tommy and Iggy be able to keep it up? Keep Mizzou from losing out. The Broncos basically have to get 3 points here. Like there is no realistically any other way. They basically have to get the 3rd point here. So they have to go all the way here. Ooh. Gets the hit, not looking for the head though.
The logs. Ooh. Oh, Widow turned their attention away from Goblin right at the last second. Bagel confirms the kill onto Cavi. It's going to be Clear. Forced out. Kel finds King. Sigma goes down. And Iggy finds Goblin. Hanzo, Tommy Tsunami took a bold positioning on top of the bridge, understanding that that's just kind of a reset situation. And is going to go back to spawn. No one's pushing the payload currently. Nope, it is going to be Chosen, I believe, on that bat. He's pushing it. And then Yada is going to look for opportunities to get a smart position here, get Discords out. There is plenty of time still for Mizzou to recontest on this point. There's no swaps coming out from them. The high ground advantage is what makes defense on Circuit Royale busted. Clear does find Iggy, though. Understanding his directive, understanding that Iggy is a powerhouse and a playmaker. They do auto get res. Chosen goes down, Goblin goes down, and Iggy is now on the hunt to find Kel.
Looking at the health bar, is the health bar low enough to find any value? The shield's not giving a budge. Iggy going down a little bit on the HP. Clear trying to be sneaky with the bagel, looking trapped in a corner here. Accretion isn't going to find anything. The kick isn't going to find anything as well, as Iggy's going to get the finishing blow. This is Boise State had to take a step back, as Mizzou's going to take control right before the point gets the first point.
They have done what I mentioned earlier, though, which is completely gotten down to the high ground. This is where things get a little concerning, because that high ground control, regardless of how much of an elevation change it is extremely important. Now you're facing the Broncos on even ground. And even then, if Goblin chooses to go on top of Bridge, gives Goblin the high ground advantage. But instead, Goblin's going to swing wide and get picked. We have a Graphitic Flux committed. It's going to force out Immortality Fields from the Broncos. Tommy Tsunami has Dragons as well, while the Broncos are kind of all stacked in one area. Can Dragon them and force them back so they can't utilize, and Matrix going to do just that, but Bagel found one, Kel found another. Clairvoyant's gone, Iggy's gone. Bagel still has Transcendence as well, clear with that EMP, and Kel with his own lift. Let's see if we see an EMP lift combo, because that can guarantee this round corner portion here. Broncos do lock down the first objective. Now they have to make it up the hill. This is where things can get difficult.
And Tommy's always just being pocketed by this Mercy as well, who's holding on to it. Clear, looking for the cheeky little pick, is able to find it. That's Iggy gone. That's a key player for the side of Mizzou, who's been a threat to Boise State the entirety of the time for the second restart. Kel's also going to find one on Ting. That's a key part of their healing gone as well. And Goblin getting one more on Clairvoyance. It looks like Mizzou's second fight up this hill, as Boise State's going to be able to get up to it. But if Mizzou is able to react fast enough, Goblin gets down, put to 25 HP. They might be able to put his second contest here, but Clear getting the stagger on Iggy as well.
Chosen, don't do it. Thank you.
What if he would have got stuck?
Yeah, similar to what we heard from Clear earlier when he was sitting in mode and got stuck.
Chilling.
Resonant Shopper mode is activated. Iggy goes down to Goblin. We have Clear up trying to create mayhem, prevent the res, but I do think Clear was forced. The res opportunity is going to continue rushing in to get distraction. Attempted EMP gets thwarted, and instead we're just going to have to settle with hacking Clairvoyant. We have Flip go out, Rock go out onto the Zen. We still have Trance as well, just in case Clairvoyant manages to get... Never mind.
Oh.
Bagel's gone. Clear's gone. Chosen is also deleted, and now it's just Kel.
This Valkyrie mode. That Valkyrie mode, honestly, I think I would give the clutch, because the amount of times that Clairvoyant's got hacked and then just given no ability for any sort of survivability was just... I didn't even watch the fight, honestly. I watched the health bar, and the amount of times I saw that health bar go below 100 and then just spike back up the moment, the like half second they weren't getting damaged. It would just spike all the way back to like 300-400. That was insane, and honestly I think that's, along with Tommy getting 2 vital picks there, is the sole reason why they're able to win that fight. Going into, they also have Flux as long as Dragons as well, which could be a combo play to see.
We lost Bagel, we lost Kel.
A threat emerges.
Sorry, we lost Bagel, we lost Goblin, and Kel is going to have to retreat using a lot of cooldowns to get out with the help of Chosen.
Thank you.
The unfortunate situation here is that there really isn't a lot of opportunity for swapping here. The Circuit Royale is very unforgiving as to what the meta comp is. It's one of the few that doesn't give us a lot of wiggle room. Kel is going to swap over to the Winston, the rest of the comp is staying the same. Winston stops engage, forces some cooldowns, has Orb of Harmony to keep him alive, and as they burst down shield, it gives an opportunity to sustain the Winston. Iggy gets dangerously low, but it's still going to live. We have Dragons online and lift for Clairvoyant. We don't have really much of a counter without our support ultimates, so that means our supports cannot get picked early here.
Cannot. Iggy is, just as you say that, Iggy's going to find Chosen.
I did not mean to speak into existence.
Oh, and now it just looks like the combo plays are coming out. Dragons are committed. Clairvoyant's going to get one, and Tommy getting, I don't even know how or where on the screen that exactly happened. There's nasty little touch, getting the sonar, looking for anybody hiding. Is he going to find anybody? With 30 seconds left here, Boise State. What was looking like a clean out, this sort of reset. It's given Mizzou the mental, emotional, and sort of, I guess you could call it physical as well, mechanical reset they're looking for, as they're looking to hold the Broncos before even getting to the second point.
We have EMP, we have Primal Rage almost online. Iggy gets Goblin, Tommy Tsunami goes down to Bagel. I think Rez might have been burned already to get one of the DPS that went down. We're primaling to get everyone off point. The question is, can they keep this Primal going long enough and keep this Sigma bucks like a fish so that he cannot use his ultimate. We have an EMP go on to the back line. Iggy's going to go down. Trance is going to be forced from the Broncos. That is Clairvoyant did use Lift, so this is now the opportunity for the Broncos to bring this back. It's just there's absolute chaos on this field. We have Bagel go down. Swift Step was also spent from the side of Mizzou. Iggy is found by Goblin. Clear goes down to Clairvoyant. It's just 3 left standing, and our Baptiste is low. Goblin unlocked yet again, finds Tommy Salami, who has swapped over to the Tracer to commit some extra stall time, but the Broncos pushing into that choke point, holding them back. Winston already almost having another Primal Rage, 72% after just using it at the start of the last fight, and that fight is still continuing because it's dragging on so long. We're not getting the necessary picks yet from Mizzou or the Broncos. Someone needs to find the missing piece here, and I believe that missing piece is playing for Kel's Primal Rage to come on block as Bagel has swapped over to the Lucio. Chosen almost has Amplification Matrix. There's an EMP. Iggy has gone over to the Reaper, but it might be too little too late.
Primal Range is alive and active in there. Goes, gets popped. Swift Step is committed. Try and get away from this. Trying to get a juggle player. Swift Step is not available. Looking for the pick to get onto this Kiriko, but it's not able to find anything. And Primal Range is not going to get a whole lot of value. It's going to block the rock. Still staying on this point. Nobody quite getting the picks on the other side of the team. Flux is committed, trying to get a bagel. Doesn't get it at all. Death Blossom also committed. Doesn't find any value. And Tommy and Iggy are both going to find value. Iggy getting one more. Unless there's some type of recovery for the Broncos, it's looking all for naught. And that is Mizzou taking their first win of this best of 5.
We go to push.
Now we go to push.
Almost as I spoken into existence earlier.
We did have a conversation about it. I think we both spoken into existence. Clear is going to get the play of the game.
A little surprised by that.
I think Iggy definitely had a massive impact. Yeah, this 3-piece. But all the kills that Iggy had were really spread out. Actually, a 4-piece nonetheless. Is this a 5?
Ooh, does he get the ace? Nah, I think Clairvoyant came in a little too late for the ace.
Yeah, a little bit too. But it was an ace.
We'll count it as an ace.
Did get the pick. Did get the finish. Clairvoyant kind of went. You got 4. I'm a generous person.
Just sat there.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. So love to see the ace. Would have loved to see the victory instead, but you know, don't always get what you ask for. But going into push, it's inevitable now. It's a little unfortunate, right? A map reset, it happens. It's one of those things you can't really fight, you know, as much as you'd love to contest it. There's no real way to reset the boundaries or reset anything. So I feel like now it's just sort of like, we have to go into push. Let's just finish it out here. Let's close it out. And I believe the last time I casted Overwatch with you and we saw a push map as well, we got to see, I think it was a map work on the Junker Queen. That ended up doing a lot of damage and a lot of success. Do you think that swap comes in here?
Okay, I love JQ. I will force JQ on a lot of maps, but don't trust what I do on tank anymore because I'm just like, ooh, JQ. Yeah, I don't. Suddenly, I don't have hundreds of hours on Diva anymore or Zarya. I learned JQ, and that's all I know somehow. My profile is magically private again, and you can't see how many hours I have spent on other tanks. With that being said, it really is a little bit more map specific. Push does open the door for different tanks to come in. It's just, as we just heard Goblin highlight, you got to keep in mind that they have a very, very, very scary Widow.
Yeah.
Then that Widow has finally woken up.
Yeah.
The gamer fuel is pumping. And so you need to be very careful. While we might see Esperanza, might want to dodge it. Other than that, there's New Queen Street. I would suggest heavily dodging New Queen Street just because it allows for Widowmakers, and Coliseo, same thing. So Esperanza is actually going to be the pick. It would be the one I'd go into. This is just me basing off of, sorry to make you a pariah in this situation, Goblin. You know that I value you as a friend and I appreciate you and you're a great human being. But the map that Goblin sucks at as Widowmaker is Esperanza. So I know that means that most Widows can't play it that well.
Do you think then that Iggy is also going to make the contest? Because is it Missouri's pick this time around for push, for map?
No, it's our pick actually.
Oh, it's our pick for it time. So then with that sort of in mind, you know, with your insight in terms of the Goblin Widowmaker, most likely that's also counter Iggy as well, and sort of force them into no longer here's a battle of egos of, you know, who ends up getting the headshot, which Iggy was winning and winning on other people as well, and so was Tommy. Honestly, I mean, we're giving Iggy a lot of spotlight. Honestly, both levels of both Goblin and Hanzo duos were kind of popping off a little bit. It just felt like Iggy and Tommy were finding a lot more heads, and at the end of the day, they're able to stop a lot of what BSU was showing up with in terms of the assault map.
And we're going to get some great overhead shots here of Ish Peranza. The question is, there was a key that we did not see today because of the patch that just dropped. Mind you, Tuesdays are patch days. Yay! Couldn't be more convenient, could it? NACE game day, the important tournament. But with that being said, we just typically have a last key of win the fight, then win the point. And that is very important here on push maps. A lot of teams send someone to the point, and the rest of them have to face the rest of the crew. So you see that there's one person on the bot, you go after the 5-man squad, you delete them, then you go to bot and you take care of that one person. Not only is that person staggered, but they played away from their team and didn't take the 5v5. Now, I'm not saying Mizzou's going to do that. So it is a matter of picking a smart fight location and picking it quickly and understanding the win condition of the enemy team comp fast. And one thing of advice is, even if you win the fight on the wrong comp, be prepared to swap. If you see you're on the wrong comp and your team's losing the fight, someone needs to take the reins and make the call to swap the comp.
Yeah. Which, is always sort of, then I do have to ask the question then, who's the IGL?
Theoretically speaking, it's Matt Merck. If Matt is back in, I did see Kel exit the stage. So Matt's back in. It's probably most likely going to be up to Matt and Clear to make the call on what they feel comfortable on, because when you make certain comp swaps, it heavily relies upon coordination between a DPS and a tank to make things happen, such as the wrecking ball comp. And Clear is also our Reaper player, so if we swap over to a composition that we're going to play Reaper with, it needs to be one that is made in consensus with those two, and then the rest of the team follows up. They all give their input. At the end of the day, you gotta listen to your IGL. You can't tilt, you can't turn off the brain, you can't turn off the comms. You just gotta go hard and focus and play to win the game.
Wise words spoken for anybody and really any competitive scene that's out there looking to as a stack of players. More often than not, honestly, a 5-stack now with two of the most popular games being Overwatch and Valorant. Nevertheless, I'm honestly just going to call it here. I think I'm going to see Reaper.
Objective unlocks in 30 seconds.
See you on the Reaper. Am I right? Hey, I'm right for once when it comes to OW2. Quickly engaging into the fight. We do see a Diva on the other side. We see Clairvoyant bring it out last time. They weren't super successful when it came to it. You also see Cabby on the Mercy as well. Right?
With being on Ana this time. Oh, I'm sorry, Ping. I'm sorry, Cabby.
Yeah, Winston definitely his way, and here's exactly what you're talking about. As earlier before, win the fight, then win the point when it comes to it, and now the team is very staggered, and you gain a couple meters. Whoop-de-doo.
Looking to see if there's any swaps coming out from the side of Mizzou. Nope, Clairvoyant's going to stick on the Diva. Iggy is going to go over to Reaper, though. I wish you luck going against the Reaper of Death. That is clear.
In a situation where you lose the fight and you end up finding yourself on point, would you rather just dive into the team and die, or attempt to run away and get back to the team?
If you win the fight and you're on the wrong comp, you got to just commit to the next fight and literally play it until your team dies and you can get a reset.
They took the robot from us.
Very fast movement around the corner. A lot of flanking potential, and once again, lose the fight, but taking the point. They don't get it much farther as they're quickly intercepted.
Yeah, this Reaper's going to battle out against Matt Merck, but the thing is, this comp is literally a game of counters. And the thing that makes Mizzou slightly weaker is the fact that they're running the Mercy over the Lucio. And the Lucio provides speed to get a Reaper in and out of fights, and our Winston in and out of fights. So for Reapers engaging on our Winston, then Lucio's able to get Winston out and bring in Sojourn. Or Sojourn's already in position to take off the Reaper. Reaper counters Sojourn, Reaper counters, Sojourn counters Reaper, Reaper counters Winston. It's all about the counterplay.
Ooh.
Ooh, whoopsies.
They're being picked off. Not really. Probably the one character who can probably accept that promise. They're quickly able to get in there. Primal's going to be committed as well, trying to cause a little bit of damage, a little bit of panic here. The supports have nowhere to go. And they're quickly picked off, and once again, this Mercy is not able to catch a break. And there's Death Blossom also being committed by Clear, and Clairvoyant coming from wherever they were. They quickly dealt with.
And it is Sojourn and Diva both left standing with a sliver of health. Sojourn comes in, well, Hideko comes in, chooses to make the decision to keep the Sojourn alive. Diva goes down, Ping goes down, Sojourn made it out alive. Death Blossom's committed to the delete map Merc, but Clear is chilling on cart. We're going to have a Shadow Step in and a Raid Step away. This is an opportunity to just soft reset now for the Broncos. That's a huge cooldown, but they don't have their tank to engage onto that backline. So they're just going to settle for a couple extra seconds here and look to take away who is still trying to create a front line while other people are at the bot yet again.
Did y'all see that that Iggy committed the Death Blossom on a 5 HP Matt Mark as well? I don't know if that's quite the value they were looking for there.
Yeah, very high possibility mistakes were made. We have a Reaper chasing our Reaper, and this Reaper has a Mercy pocket. This is a situation of this is not a fair fight, and Clear recognized that, getting the heck out of dodge.
Merc also stepping in to provide some support and perhaps going to counter. The beat is committed as well, giving the opportunity to rush in. Potentially getting the picks they're looking for. A little bit of trade action happening. Matt is extremely low. It's going to go down to Iggy.
Goblin tried to push the bot to get the forward spawn. It was unfortunately not the advantageous move as that extra fire damage. That fight needed to be confirmed before anyone started pushing bot. Fable's going to get staggered. Chosen, Reaper, gonna try to make it out alive. The question is, can they? Will they? Well, I don't know about that.
Even diving after trying to find Chosen. We're finding Clear is gonna get the diff pick on Iggy. Matt Merck also gonna find one as well. Finding a second. Clairvoyant charging in with low HP. Isn't gonna be able to do too much. Get slightly staggered out from the friendly team, and 4-stack now on the bot for this Boise State as they hold the advantage now. And they're quickly going to get to this barrier and probably push it a couple of meters before they get contested. Clairvoyant does have bomb as long with an overclock and Death Blossom that will be committed to this fight as well, or at least be available. Clear and Chosen also having the counter ult for it.
Question of the day is, how many ults is Mizzou going to pop to regain control of the push bot? If the Broncos recognize they're popping 2 in the 3 ults or more, they're probably just not going to do anything. But they ult first to win the fight. They take down both supports. There's a response. Death Blossom used to just clean up Clear. Clairvoyant also is going to find Chosen. Matt Merck did find Tommy Salami, and I believe, yeah, it is just the Reaper and Diva left standing. Reaper is going to get tickled by the Tesla cannon. Matt Merck goes down because you are going face-to-face with your counter without any DPS support.
In Matt Merck's defense, they both are very low, and the Diva and the, or more or less, it was one or the other, did a good job of either standing in front of the Tesla cannon or standing behind the big body that would take all the Tesla cannon damage. So that was very unfortunate to see. Clairvoyant's going to dive for a little bit of pick damage. Not going to do too much. There's a quickie forced off. Matt's going to dive in.
Oh, that is a free bomb for Diva now. He's jump and bubble.
Primal Rage, though, however, trying to get a little bit of damage, trying to juggle. Oh, bomb there! Oh, this is going to find it.
It was way too high.
Yeah.
Remember, the skybox on this map is extremely tall.
No.
Don't you dare get Remec killed. Okay.
With no responding picks, that is Mizzou going down 5 players. Second a little bit. Once again, Boise State will slowly move a couple more meters. Bot's going to make contact and slowly push it along. With about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left here remaining, they have more than 10 times the amount of distance that Mizzou has. It's looking desperate. They've got to commit something. B is also going to be committed as well. Clear's going to find an opening. Goblin's going to get the overclock kill. Looking for a second. Gets it. Is there one more? There's not. It's going to retreat back.
And Iggy, who swapped over to... Ooh, Clairvoyant, I see you.
Okay. Wait a minute. Do you think the way Clairvoyant's playing and the way the comp is that this change could end up making a significant difference?
Considering how much the Broncos spent trying to force all of Mizzou back, it could give them a couple extra fights here. JQ is still a relatively strong tank. She provides extra speed, plus Cabby on the Lucium. That's even more speed, and not to mention their speed boost with Commanding Shout and Amp Speed, they stack. It's grotesque. You go insanely fast. There is Zoom Zoom. However, Clairvoyant took an angle without support and goes down. Now the front line's gone, and everyone is extremely fragile. Reaper is going to try to frontline on their own. We're going to see Swift Step. This is pinching everyone off from the side of Mizzou. Now the Broncos are able to engage. That is just a matter of not understanding your win condition and how your team comp works. Now we have Goblin go down, taking on a 1-on-3, and Clairvoyant's going to come back to the spawn. And Matt Merck is slowly pushing that bot closer to the spawn door.
They dive into Junker though. Clear had Death Blossom. Megan's going to find 2 with the Pulse Bomb. That could be the end of it. Clairvoyant's going to clean it up with Clear. Chosen going down as well. Goblin being on the Widowmaker here, probably looking for a sneaky little rotation pick as they're moving the bot here, but with about 1:45 seconds left, they've got a very, very long way to go. With Boise State will be able to intercept them nonetheless. They also have about 3 ultimates to commit to this fight as well as if Bagel is able to grind it out.
It's important here that Chosen doesn't use Suzu early. We lose Clear. They do force Suzu out from Pink. We're going to have Kitsune Rush committed. Cabby is going to use Beat in response to the Kitsune Rush. Reaper is currently down. Goblin is swapped over to the Widowmaker. JQ used Rampage. I'm pretty sure it was Suzu. We did not get a good look at that. Tommy Salami. 80 health on Reaper is going to Wraith Step in, try to use the life steal, uses it, and Clairvoyant cleans up Matt Merck. Down goes Chosen to Iggy, taking a punch to the face, and Clear goes down as well.
He's going to chase down Goblin.
Oh my gosh, oh my eyes.
Oh.
I get it, but my eyes, holy cow.
That was definitely a lot. Corny to try and process. But more than anything, Boise State needs to play a lot of time here. They have a lot of meter advantage in terms of Mizzou, and if they're able to force Mizzou very early on to only rely on the overtime commitment, one fight is all it takes at the end of the day. Matt Merck switches over to the ball.
Now, personally, I've never seen a team who has yet to hit first point win a map with only overtime timers, but it's not completely out of the cards.
No one can hide from the gap.
With the way the DPS on the side of Mizzou, especially if they wake up, I feel like nothing's really out of the possibility level for this team.
It's just the tragic truth here is because the Broncos are so far along on this push bot, really all they have to do is let the side of Mizzou burn ultimates and then wait and use their own to come out on top. But we hear Clear use an ult, it's going to force util, and Bagel finds a couple picks. We force recall from Tracer. Bot is now back in control of the Broncos. They're just cleaning up Iggy the stagger, and then Ping, I believe, was also at respawn, and that is it.
Oh, what a great catch, actually. That's a great catch, Fly.
That was such a weird emote.
It was perfect. It was hype.
It was borderline horrifying. Ooh, Bagel! What did you do? Oh, this was literally the last fight. Yeah, Bagel did get a couple picks. Stares at their teammate getting pulsed. Literally, there's nothing you can do there as a Lucio.
No,
it's just kind of like, sorry, or bye.
It was like the last moment as you're watching, like the friend die in the movie, where it's like the really dramatic scene of like no, and pulse bomb goes off, and your friend just
Oh, you think that that's how they respond to each other?
Well,
It's more like,
no, yeah, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. But from the camera's perspective,
Yes.
it's a very dramatic. It can feel dramatic, but no, I definitely the team is definitely dogging on each other for that one.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Mhm.
I know for a fact that if I'm playing with anyone up there, or like we're playing within our friend group, which includes basically everyone on that stage, and something happens like that, it's like, oh, bye.
Little emo. I'm honestly always surprised. The way it's the same as like Valorant players as well. The amount of times that I've seen Overwatch players either spray or do a voice line or an emote. It's also the amount of times these Valorant players interact with a knife. that it's like it's a staple in the game. Yeah, it has to be. But unfortunately, we do not have anything for our player of the game. But nevertheless, we can have a conversation about it, and a civil one, of course. But if I had to choose one from Mizzou, I'm going to go with the counter pick of Tommy. I know Tommy and Iggy are sort of in the running. And on the side of Boise State, I don't know. I guess that one's sort of hard. I'm actually just I don't know. That's hard. I feel like Goblin did as much as they did on the counter pick of Widow. I can't honestly make up my mind.
For me, I'm going to go with Iggy from Mizzou, and then from the side of the Broncos, the person who I think made the least mistakes. Probably it's kind of a tie between both of our tanks. I think everyone got a little bit guilty of egoing a bit too much today and getting too big for their britches. But with that being said, I believe we are done with Overwatch for this evening, but we still have more stuff to come. I just won't be here for said stuff because I got to go herd cats. Not real cats. It's a metaphor.
Still probably crazy like cats, though, nonetheless. But as we mentioned to it, that's enough Overwatch for us today. But we are going to recoup and come back with some more Rocket League for us tonight. I will be on desk later. We are parting ways, unfortunately. But we do have well, not a special guest, but a special guest nonetheless showing up. We're going to take a quick message break, and we'll see you after this some more Rocket League. See you after the messages.
Growing up in Riggins, we have certain rules we live by. Look both ways before crossing the street. Fishing stories get better the more you tell them. Small town life makes your life anything but small. Never work alone when you go hunting. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Idaho's Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance. Home is where you hang your hat, snuggle up, hide out. Home is when you're with the ones you love. It isn't just a place, it's a state of mind. At Idaho's Central Credit Union, our home is Idaho. We grew up here, and we're proud to help more Idahoans with their home loan than any other financial institution. Idaho's Central Credit Union. We believe home is where you make it.